Well, hello and welcome back to Read Becca. It is time again to turn over the month and look forward to what we want to read in our near future as I put together my September TBR. And I'm filming this a little bit earlier than usual, so this may throw things off. I don't know yet. But I was realizing that every time I film my TBR, I always kind of try to wait till the last minute because I want to get it right at the moment where I'm turning over the month. And then I end up having to spend like the first week of the month, finishing up things from the previous month because I've done that. So really, I need to film about a week early. So that's what I'm doing. So I don't know, that may put things up in the air more than usual, but we're trying it. So as we head into September and October, in fact, these 2 months I think are the biggest for reading events on BookTube. Like big time, all the stuff is happening now. So there's a lot I want to participate in. As always, there's a lot that I'm going to dabble in, but I don't really follow the structure of events at all. I like to enjoy the inspiration more so than following board games or bingo cards, any of that stuff. So I'm loosey-gooseying it. But what I have done is that it is Shorty September. So I've got an all Shorties TBR, and I have quite a lot of things here, so we're going to run through things pretty fast and furious. There's also a lot of hosts for many of these readathons, so I'm kind of just going to tag the reading event rather than all of the hosts. I will be here all day if I'm listing off a dozen hosts for these things. So Shorty September is all focused on reading short books. Obviously, I kept that in around the 200 page limit for myself, and I think everything came in completely under 200 pages, so very good. So let's go through this, and I think I'm going to go through my books first and then library books, and we're gonna have a nonfiction sandwich as a result. So we're gonna start with some nonfiction. So the first thing I want to read is Umberto Eco's Serendipitous, Language and Lunacy, a Brilliant Illumination of Intellectual History. So this is a collection of 5 essays, nonfiction, surrounding language and history. And I think that's gonna be great. I love Umberto Eco's writing, I know, so I'm really stoked to get into this one. Another collection of essays I just recently hauled, and it's I Want to Burn This Place Down by Maris Kreitzman. This is, I think, about personal disillusionment with the state of the US right now and anti-capitalist sentiment. So I think this is going to be very angry and frustrated essays. Next on the pile is The Buddha and the Bard by Lauren Schufrin, where Shakespeare stage meets Buddhist scriptures. And it's just a pretty little object. I got this at a charity sale a couple of years ago and have not gotten to it since, and I should have by now for Shaktember, which is perfect for this month. So we're going to tie in Shakespeare with Buddhism. I know very little about Buddhist ideology other than very, very broad strokes. So I'm really curious how that's going to be tied to Shakespeare. Next, we're on to fiction. Virginia Woolf's Monday or Tuesday 8 stories. So one of the stories is Monday or Tuesday, but this is super tiny. It's 50 pages. So flash fiction by Virginia Woolf, very, very interesting. Could be a win. I have read and loved her nonfiction essay, A Room of One's Own. So I don't know what to think about this one though. Next one has been on my shelves for so long and I've never gotten to it, is Your Favorite Band Cannot Save You by Scotto Moore. This has a great premise, and again, it's been just sitting on my shelves. We're with a music reporter who is on tour with this new up-and-coming band that sort of came out of nowhere, and they're now releasing 1 song a day for 10 days from their new album. And the fans are reacting very unusually to that. So I think there's maybe paranormal there and horror possibly, but I don't even remember what genre this falls into. Just that it really intrigued me at the time when it came out, and I don't remember, it's been so long, why that was. So excited to get to that one after a long time. Another sort of fantastical one, I have Burning Roses by S.L. Wong. This is a Tor.com novella, well actually both of those are Tor.com novellas, that is from an author I'm always intrigued by. So S.L. Wong is a mathematician and then started writing sort of fantasy sci-fi novels and novellas. This one is a Red Riding Hood retelling in kind of a Chinese-inspired setting. So that on its own is very appealing. I also have Wong's novel, Zero Sum Game, which is like math is magic, and I desperately need to get to that trilogy. But this is a good start, I think. And I also want to read the latest novella that Wong came out with, and I haven't yet. This one is very random. It's kind of a random cover grab mainly, but it really intrigued me. This is The Little Snake by A.L. Kennedy. And this author seems to be very popular, like well-known, well awarded in the UK, but totally unknown to me. And has a long list of books, but I didn't recognize any of them. So this one features a little girl who meets a snake, to the title, and they seem to form a kind of lifelong friendship. And then something happens as she's growing up that separates them or puts a wedge between them in some way that means the snake is processing not having her in its life anymore, possibly. That's what it sounds like. So it sounded very weird, and it's, again, very short. So I'm really curious how this is going to be developed out. Another kind of random grab that I know nothing about is The Warren by Brian Evanson. This is a weird one because I picked this up actually a couple weeks ago now, and then almost immediately saw it on Kayla from Books and Lala's channel reading, I think it was like Horror from a Different Years vlog. And this I grabbed with no knowledge of it. It is very, very slim, but it's got a blurb by Jeff Vandermeer, so I had to pick it up. This sounds like weird sci-fi or in space with someone who doesn't know their own name, doesn't really know anything about their own identity really, other than it seems they have maybe multiple personalities residing within themselves, and then they encounter someone else and they're discovering who they are really. So that sounds weird and wacky and my kind of thing, but it's so short, I'm worried it may not have time to develop out. So we will see about that one. That's probably my most random grab, but it sounds like something that could very much appeal to me, and the blurb from Vandermeer really put me onto it. So the next one is Denise Mina's Rizzio. I read Three Fires, and I really like that because that's a historical short novella about the priest who sort of started the Bonfire of the Vanities in Medici era Italy. And this one is also sort of a historical, but is strongly crime, which I think Mina has a reputation for. So this is about the murder of Mary Queen of Scots' secretary, Rizzio. So that's very interesting. It seems short to do that within, but I kind of trust her after coming off of Three Fires. Mina in Three Fires took a very modern lens and put that perspective on the Three Fires story that was really, really interesting. And it was very much present and intentional. So I'm wondering if that's going to be here as well. I would be really, really intrigued if that's done. But anyway, that one. And then Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. So this one, I guess The Warren would probably count as well for Scientific September, which is focused on reading science and science fiction. And this is hard sci-fi, I'm pretty sure, about reviving mammoths. It's kind of a Jurassic Park-y thing, I imagine, but with a more grounding rather than action-packed. And it is a novella, so I'm curious how that's going to be developed. I adored Ray Naylor's book Mountain in the Sea. It's right behind me. So I keep meaning to get back to Naylor's work. And then we have an odd one, a slightly unusual, but I'm excited about it. So I was at an unusual branch of my library that I don't normally go to, and while I was there, I checked the shelf for either of Chuck Tingle's new novels. In traditional publishing, Tingle is now coming out with sort of thriller horror, and so I was looking for that, and they did not have either of the new novels, but what did they have on the shelf? Transwizard, Harriet, Porber. This is a self-published work. Again, very, very short. This was kind of Tingle sticking it to J.K. Rowling. And after there was a bit of a kerfuffle there. And so I'm delighted to have found this because it's something that I've kind of always been curious about. I think it's going to be extremely odd. It's Transwizard, Harriet Porber, and the bad boy Parasaurolophus. I think that's the bad boy Parasaurolophus. An adult romance novel from two-time Hugo Award finalist Chuck Tingle. So I think this is going to be just complete silliness, start to finish, and I think that's perfect for Shorty September. So actually, those last three, all authors that I know and love and have read from before and am excited to continue on, which is very much a priority for me this year. So I think these are the most likely to get read out of this pile first. And we're back to nonfiction to wind out. So this is going to be a jarring transition from the Transwizard Tingler to James Baldwin, Nothing Personal. So this is an essay collection, again, very short. I recently read Baldwin's biography, Baldwin: A Love Story, and I came out of that and mentioned in my video about it that I just sort of kept wanting to turn to and pick up some actual Baldwin work coming out of that biography. And so I looked at my library and they didn't have any fiction, but they did have this in the nonfiction. And this is a collection of essays on social isolation. I have to assume that ties into being closeted and homosexual, race, and police brutality. Very timely, it seems, though this was originally published in 1960s, and this is a reprint, I believe. And we have a foreword by Imani Perry and an afterword by Eddie S. Glaude Jr. in this one. So that's exciting. And then finally, very last one, this has been a bit of a rapid fire, but we have My Body in Pieces by Marie-Noëlle Hébert, and this is translated from the Quebecois French by Shelley Tanaka. So Framed in September is an art-focused readathon, and I really struggled looking for things that were appealing, were on the topic of art, and I didn't really find anything on the topic of art that was grabbing me, either from my shelves or from the library. And so that was a struggle. So I found this one. This is a graphic memoir about the artist's experience growing up and struggling with body image issues, as well as eating disorder. And I think it's going to be phenomenal to read. You can see the art style is really gorgeous and detailed. And it looks like charcoal, a lot of it, but this is actually pencil sketch. And just incredible art. So I think this is going to be a whole immersive art experience. It's going to be very emotional and probably quite difficult. But that is the stack. So we have a lot to read for this month. I am super excited about my entire reading month. Ever so slightly future me interjecting here, I remembered immediately after finishing filming that I have a buddy read this month as well, so I wanted to mention that. I am continuing the ongoing saga of Love Medicine by Louise Erdrich in my buddy read with Melinda from A Web of Stories and Angelia from Read and Reread as we go to Bingo Palace, the next entry we have in, we're reading in publication order. So that will be in September as well. So let me know though, because I'm going to need to prioritize. What do you most want to hear about from this pile? It's a little overwhelming holding it all up. Yeah, let me know what to prioritize, because though I can't easily read all of this, like I said, this is right around the 150 page mark for all these. So we're like 1,500 to 2,000 pages easily within my month's reading. But I don't know how I'm going to get to all of these with other things that I want to get to in addition to my TBR. So that is it for me. Are you participating in these readathons? Are you participating in other readathons that I've missed? Because I want to know if there are other readathons going on. I think that's all for me today. So let me know how excited you are for September, and thank you so very much for watching.